Welcome to the Center for Universal Oneness. We are an open, welcoming, spiritual community that supports all faith traditions and invites you to join us on your spiritual journey. We host different speakers each week to guide and inspire us. We are guided by universal principles of acceptance of all that is sacred, and we strive to live in the oneness of love. Please enjoy this presentation.
My talk is it's called Home More Than Where the Heart Is. So it's all about I wanted to talk about home. It's because I think it's always like a moving target, right? And even in if we look at during, for the last couple of years, it has moved the idea of home, or how that we define that, or what that means, that has changed, quite a bit. In part because even just physical location, right? Housing has become something very, very challenging for a lot of people. The being more conscious of using the word homeless or houseless. Right? Like, it's not really like that word changed a while back, but people didn't quite pick up on it. But yet during the last couple of years, people are becoming a little more conscious of, when you say someone is homeless, you're saying they have no home. And then for me, I'm like, okay, that's not entirely true. They may not have a house, right? The roof over their head, the shelter thing. So houseless is for me is more clear than saying homeless, because home has a very different meaning, has a lot of different aspects to it. It takes on a lot of different facets and requires me to be in connection, right, with someone. Like, what does home mean? And do I need to expand it, or do I have clarity on what home means? And the more that we've been online, right, the more we're sort of meeting people from other places geographically. Like, you start to learn, at least, I did, and others I know, it's kind of, the world expands in terms of, the geography of where those that are on Zoom with me, or Facebook Live, or YouTube, wherever we are, Teams, there's, GoToWebinar, there's a bajillion places to connect with people online. And then do we pause and look at the geography of it? And the question that pops up very often is, where are you from? Where do you come from, or where are you from? And it's a question, it seems pretty simple, right? Where are you from? And yet, for me, it's really taken on so much more. I don't really find it a very simple question, because I know that the intent may be, sometimes it's, if someone says, where do you come from? What they're asking is, where were you born, or where were you raised? Where are you educated? And yet it's likely the answer is much more than we might have imagined. Even if you look at it from that perspective, where were you born and raised and educated? My response to that would be quite lengthy. I was born in Michigan, lived here in New York, then lived here in England, and lived in New York, and lived in Afghanistan, and then New York. And so there's these, I could have a map out, and here's a place, but I'm moving and coming back. Where was I educated? Well, what year is it? Right? Like, it becomes, answering the question is not quite that simple, and even, or it might mean, where do you come from, or where are you from? Sometimes it's, I've answered the question before. When I lived in New York, where I lived in New York, it used to be with telephone numbers. I know it's not quite so anymore, because there's too many people and too many phone numbers. But the first 3 digits, right? Never mind the area code. The first 3 digits really, for the most part, determined what town you were in. So this town had the 3-digit of 782 or 783, and this town had 469, and this town had 564. So you could tell by someone's phone number what town they lived in. But the town, where I lived, what makes the question kind of interesting, where do you come from, is like, well, where do I pay my taxes? because we had a phone number that had a phone exchange that said you lived in Monroe, right? But we paid our taxes to the town of Blooming Grove, but our mailing address was for the town of Monroe, or for Chester, for the town of Chester. So where are you from? Well, which piece of information would you like to know? And then I can answer your question, and the police department was a different town that served where we lived. So, and where do you come from? That question of where do you come from points to, for me, kind of where's home, right? I think sometimes where we land when we have that question and we talk about it, it moves us to the place that's deepest within us, and where I spend my time, whether it's in here, where do I spend my time, and out here. But it's just, home, where do I come from is another, for me, is another way of where's home. And I want, that word itself, well, let's pause for a moment. What does home mean? If I say home, what does home mean to you? You tell me. Now, don't be shy. I know y'all gab a lot.
I take off my public face and I'm just, I relax and be, I don't know, vulnerable, not having to project out. I can, but I relax. In fact, that's the motto of where I live. Relax, you're home.
Nice. What else? What is home? When I say home, what word comes to mind, or words?
Well, Dennis once gave me an anniversary that had two people looking out at the beach and said, "My happy place is you." And I guess I would say that my home is where Dennis is.
Okay.
I know when I met my wife, Carolyn, I felt this really powerful sense of recognition, even though I had never experienced anything like that before. It was like I was returning to some place that some part of me recognized, and I felt like I had arrived home. It was a very powerful sense of exactly that. Even though it seemed new in every way, some part of me recognized that.
Yeah.
Very, very powerfully.
I'm from the Netherlands. First question, where are you from? And it's always a good start of a conversation. So I don't mind being from the Netherlands. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not about not mentioning the geography, right? Because that's very, I find it fascinating. There's one string of a gajillion for a conversation, right? That you can go down. So Maria's from the Netherlands. Great. Then that's going to launch me in a conversation with her about home, one road.
Kelly, can I say something here a little bit?
Yeah.
Contrary. I don't think I'm alone in this. I've never really felt a sense of home. My father died young, and we kind of bounced between different relatives. And even as an adult, I don't know. You were saying that I was just looking around my house. I have a house here I live in, but I think that feeling of home that people say, I think that's escaped me, and I don't think I'm alone in that. That's why I'm saying it. I think other people probably have that same feeling. Just a fact.
Yeah. Well, I would not disagree at all. And from what I've noticed, being out and about and around for the last 2+ years, online and in conversations with people, is that I think more people have been willing to say that. And I think there's also more people experiencing that, having, what exactly does that mean? Home, right? So I don't think you're alone, Greg.
One other sense of home that I know that many here have experienced is it felt like coming home when I first discovered Unity. It was like, oh my gosh, this is where I belong. And so belonging, whether it's a community or a person or a place, is a huge element of home to me. And Unity was wonderful for that, is wonderful for that.
Yeah, so home is a lot of things. And you know, the home is where the heart is not an untrue statement, and it's more than that, right? Certainly, I think if we find a place that if you do you know, call home, your heart is there, and wherever my heart is, that may not be home, you know, like, and that'll make a little more sense as I just unpack it a little bit. But yeah, I just wanted to have to just, it was just meant to, you know, leave you with more questions than answers. But it's, you know, a conversation, an idea to just kind of help expand ourselves a little bit. That it's home is maybe about the piece of soil, you know, the geography of it, but it's also as I say, a piece of the soul. So, because I look at, you know, just all these elements of who we are, and how we be. So there's you know, I'm, and then of course, what is home? And then there's the verb part of coming home, right? Coming home. And what does that mean? And coming home to a place, or coming home to myself, or as a couple of you mentioned, coming home, you know, in the company of another, you know, where you have this sense of, and may not even have words for it, but you just know this, you know, in the presence of this person, there's a sense of belonging. I can pause and rest. You know, there's a connection that, again, doesn't necessarily have the words. Sometimes home is the place where we're challenged. Sometimes home is where, you know, our edges get to grow, and our loved ones are always really good for that, to help us grow our edges. Sometimes home is, you know, where we go to fall apart. You know, I've had people in my life here from time to time that, you know, I would refer to as a soft place to fall, meaning I can go there and fall apart, right? Sometimes home is where, you know, that home is the place of where there's, you know, great awareness, where there's where a place where I can meet whatever life is bringing me. You know, so there's this also, here's what I call home, but then there's the coming home, you know, kind of this journey to, whether it's a geographical place, a place within, or a place amongst people. So there's different kinds of homecomings. And so I just want to talk a couple minutes about those. So there's the homecomings. We have, you know, people in our lives that you might refer to as the guides. You know, who are the guides in our lives? Who are, you know, our teachers? Who are, you know, that are help us coming home to encouraging our growth, that help us coming home to supporting new possibilities, of supporting us in doing something that might feel impossible, right? Who are the guides that are helping us in this coming home to just have a greater fullness of ourselves, right? We get to experience a greater fullness of ourselves, and maybe an expanded perspective of ourselves. One of the coming home is we have texts, Texts, which is the, you know, media that's around us. We have social media, we have songs, we have movies, we have books, we have TV shows, we have authors that we love, right? We have, you know, favorite types of movies. We have music, right? Who are our favorite? And if you have an eclectic sense of, like, if you looked at my music library, it's all over the map. But yet those are what we call texts, but those are all, you know, avenues for coming home, because they support us in, oh, that's familiar. Oh, I get a sense of being alive with that, you know, whether it's the book, whether it's the music, whatever kind of music it is. Even texts like sacred texts, like if you read the Bhagavad Gita, if you read, any Buddhist text, if you read scripture, Christian or Jewish testaments, if there's favorite, sometimes I have a favorite, even a little scene from a movie. So for me, like there's this line out of Steel Magnolias, where I think it's Dolly Parton says it, but she says, laughter through tears is my favorite emotion. That's a text for me. That's a coming home. Oh, that's, and it gives me this greater sense of myself. It gives me a sense of just surrendering into what's present, right? If I got laughter through tears, it's because I'm having some grief or pain or sorrow or sadness or hurt. And it's okay to have laughter in it as well. Not to bypass what's painful, but to have both. Right. Then there's our community. Our community is a homecoming. Our community serves us in coming home. They are, and that community is not necessarily a spiritual community. It could be, at work. It could be your partner, your spouse for 15, 40, 100 years, 3 weeks, it could be your pets. Right. It could be so, but it's their community that will just be radically honest with you, love you unconditionally, help you with your growing edges, and you just be who you are, your full messy self, your full fabulousness and your full messiness, like all of it. And that's a community. And that's one of those homecoming things, coming home to coming home. So I'll just keep moving through. And then there's our ancestors, right? We each have a lineage. We each have a place that we come from, right? We each have, there's our parents, our grandparents, our great grandparents. We may not know all their names. Maybe we only know one generation or maybe 2 generations, but we may know from what part of the country, what part of the world they came from. So there's these ancestors, right? But we've largely got disconnected from them. So rebuilding that, knowing, where the ancestors, because I didn't get here, I wasn't hatched, right? There's a line of people, that long line of people that came before me. So where are those people, right? So that one is sort of like where they're from. In part, so I look at the geography. So there's the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe of Canada. There's the French Canadians. There's Italians, right? So there's these threads, right? That are, and when I bring all them in, it helps me in looking. I'm connecting to land. I'm connecting to other people. There's it's coming home to what I have inherited. If I look at the, Italians, if I look at French Canadians, if I look at the Anishinaabe, if there's elements of them that I have come home to that are alive in me, if I know a little bit, right? So like the Italian piece, there's a reason that, that's some of my personality is absolutely Italian. And so I'm coming home to myself by simply knowing some of the, the ancestors, some of those lines. There's Earth, coming home to Earth, the physical, our planet, reminding us that we weren't, again, hatched or dropped down, but we grew up out of. And then there's silence. And I think we talk mostly in Unity about coming home to silence, right? As a place to go, like meditation, retreat. We have anxiety, we have nervousness, all the things that go on in my world that take me away from myself. The silence allows me to return, right? To come to whatever that is, to return to a place of peace, to return to a place of quiet, to disconnect from the outside world, which has caused me to disconnect from my whole being. Right, that's part of coming home, is connecting all these elements of Kelly as a whole integrated place, so to speak. Kelly is a whole integrated place. Greg is a whole integrated place, right? So how do I come home to myself? Well, I welcome myself more fully, right? I embrace the good, the bad, the messy, the broken, the beautiful, the processing, the cranky, the loving, the angry, the hopeless, the everything in between, right? I embrace all of that, right? Myself fully, being fully human and fully divine, you know, that I can be cranky and at the same time also have love and kindness, right? They're not mutually exclusive. So the coming home and home being, you know, is more than where the heart is all of these elements of us and then some, right? There's our guides, there's these texts, there's community, and community is not just spiritual community. There's our ancestors, there's earth that we are a part of physically. There's the silence, right? The pause, the rest, and then myself, right? There's all of these different homecomings, coming home to, that we can engage in, that we can connect with, that we can just give ourselves a little expanded sense of. What does it mean to be fully human? What does it mean to be fully divine? And where do these pieces connect and collide? And what are these, you know, I'm spaghetti sauce. I'm spaghetti sauce cooking on the stove, right? That's an aroma that's in my room, that's in the space if I'm cooking, and it's speaking to I am from, right? So I'm going to do a little, I want to do for meditation something a little bit different. So it's a meditative practice, but you're going to need a piece of paper and a pencil. So I realized what time it was, and I'm like, okay, time to stop talking. Because I want you to end with this, end with this practice of, there's a lot of versions of this out in the world, I am from, but this is just to give you a sense of that home, right? A sense of, and you get to define it however you want, right? And you get to, rather than something outside of me defining what home or belonging is, I get to claim it, I get to own it. And there's a lot of pieces that make up home. Okay, so this is just a creative thing. Do not Rolodex your brain. Don't overthink this, just go with it. This is an intuitive, creative, we're gonna invoke our wisdom and our imagination and silliness, right? It's just to be in, allow the intuition, right? Allow discernment to really just drive what comes from this. So I'm going to say I am from, and then I'm going to tell you what kind of word to put in there. Y'all remember Mad Libs? Some of you remember Mad Libs? It's kind of like that. If you don't remember Mad Libs, don't worry about it. That won't change anything. But if you do, that might help. Okay. So I'm going to say I am from, and then I'm going to give you a little catchphrase for you to put one, a word or a little phrase, and I'll give you an example when I do it. Okay, the first one is I am from, and you can write I am from, because that's going to be the beginning of each line. So I am from, and then put in an aroma in the room. So I said, I am from spaghetti sauce cooking on the stove. Don't overthink it, just sniff the room and find an aroma. I am from fresh cut grass. I'm from freshly brewed coffee. Whatever that may be. Okay. The next one. I am from, put in a favorite place. So for me, I am from the sunset over the lake. Just put in a favorite place. I am from. Okay. Next one. I am from. Then put in your favorite beverage. So I am from fresh brewed French pressed coffee. So I am from your favorite beverage. Okay, so you're writing a little poem. Next stanza. I am from, and then what you're going to write after that, a food item that represents your family. So I am from homemade ravioli. You can't get this wrong. Just allow the imagination looking at all the facets of you. Okay, I am from, put in a favorite food. Okay, I am from, put in another favorite food. I am from Kalamata olives. The next one is, I am from, and then you're going to put a little phrase in there. It's something that you were told as a child. So I am from something you were told as a child. So mine is, I am from what's said at the table stays at the table. I am from just something you were told as a child. Anything. The next one is, I am from something you were told as a teenager. So something you were told as a teenager. So I said, I am from, why can't you be like your older sister? Just allow the imagination, whatever emerges, that's what you put down. And the next one is, I am from, and then a family trait. I am from a family trait. So I said, I am from, you can be anything you want to be. Okay, just a couple more. Next one is, I am from, and then you're going to put in 3 names. And the 3 names are your best friend's name. So I am from, best friend's name, a family member's name, alive or deceased, doesn't matter how long they've been deceased. And then a favorite character from a movie.
Don't have one.
So I am from your best friend's name, a family member, could be alive or deceased, and a favorite character from a movie. So mine was, I am from Michelle, Omer, and Aquila. Okay. I am from, and then put a plant, a flower, or a natural item. A favorite plant, flower, or natural item. And then a little description of it. So I said, I am from daffodils, bright yellow, first to arrive in the spring. So I am from a plant, flower, natural item, and then a little description. And then the last one, I am from, and here's where you would put your place of birth and some family ancestry. So I wrote, I am from Grosse Pointe, Michigan, carrying my Italian, French Canadian, and Anishinaabe ancestors. So just your place of birth and some family ancestry. So what you kind of written is home. So I'll just read you mine. I am from spaghetti sauce cooking on the stove. I am from the sunset over the lake. I am from freshly brewed French pressed coffee. I am from homemade ravioli. I am from Big Mac salad. I am from Kalamata olives. I am from what's said at the table stays at the table. I am from why can't you be like your older sister? I am from you can be anything you want to be. I am from Michelle, Omer, and Akila. I am from daffodils, bright yellow, first to arrive in the spring, having survived the frozen land. I am from Grosse Pointe, Michigan, carrying my Italian, French Canadian, and Anishinaabe ancestors. Anyone want to share theirs? You don't have to, just ask them.
I'll share mine, Kelly.
Thanks.
I'm from coffee brewing, Red Rocks and Sunsets, green tea and monk fruit, Lefse and Krumkaka.
Okay, so hold on one second, Barb. You got to put I am from in front of everything.
Okay, I am from coffee brewing. I am from Red Rocks and Sunsets. I am from green tea and monk fruit. I am from Lefse and Krumkaka. I am from George's Pizza. I am from Bananas. I am from Get Ready for the Day. I am ready for You Are Free to Be You. I am from The Dependable and Resilient. I am from Sheila, Marianne, and Obi-Wan Kenobi. I am from the Sequoias, strong and sturdy. I am from Iowa, Norwegians and Cherokees.
Nice. Oh, I got goosebumps. Nice. That's home. That's what I mean when I say home, more than where the heart is.
And I no longer feel homeless. Thank you, Kelly.
Oh, you're so welcome. Oh, you're so welcome. Anyone, I know it's already 10:45, but anyone else want to share?
I can share.
Thank you, Maria.
I'm from the Netherlands, as you already know. We have a lot of canals, wooden shoes, and tulips, of course. My hometown is Tilburg, a small, not a big town, close to the Belgian border. I love chocolate and stamppot. They don't know that what it is here, but it is a combination of potatoes and vegetables messed up with some meat. At home, we stayed at the table after dinner and discussed everything, and I still do. Teenagers should be home before 10 o'clock. Otherwise, you can't go out anymore. Speak your mind. Don't let anybody tell you anything else. You can tell what you want, and that's it. My best friend is Lori and Tony. My Barbara Streisand, I liked her very much, singing and playing. And of course, we have tulips, chocolate, and my heritage is English Dutch.
Thank you. So these are ones that you could actually type these up and share them with each other. Anyone else? This was our meditation for today.
Yes, okay.
Okay.
I am from Old Bay. I am from the beach. I am from OJ. I am from crispy bacon. I am from string beans and almonds with blue cheese.
Mm.
I am from, look around. I am from Drive Carefully. I am from a traveler going places. I am from Mickey, Myra, and Atticus Finch.
Oh, excellent.
I am a tree, part of a gigantic underground connected community. Baltimore, the Netherlands, Eastern Europe, Irish.
Nice. Okay. So that's what home. That's what I wanted to share about home and coming home to home. You know, and just expanding our, you know, we're never really separate. And, you know, it's just what is it that helps you come home? Who and what are the homecomings? And just how connected we are to all of these, everything. And that's just starting in the poem. So let's just take a moment and be still just to close this piece. If you're comfortable, you can close your outer eyes, you can leave them open. Take a deep breath in. And just remember that coming home is coming to a place either within yourself, in the company of others, a specific geographical place, a song, but coming home to a place where I'm whole, where I'm fully held as I am. Breathing into a place of comfort, of rest, knowing that sometimes coming home to a challenge, coming home to a place to fall apart, to grieve, coming home to the joy, celebration, coming home to new awareness, coming home to meet life and what life brings me. So we give thanks for this time together. We give thanks for the coming home and the all the ways that we are home. And so it is. Amen.